Righto, welcome to the Inside Ball. Special guest time. Dobbo, we've got a ripper today. I love this fella. Love playing with him.
This guy, I am so excited. Obviously, Kevie, you know him very well, but I just know him as Darren Lockyer's protector. And that's how everybody knows him.
That's him.
The great Tonie Carroll. Hello, mate.
Hey, Tunza.
How we going, guys?
You good, mate? Now, listen, I'm just going to just quickly hear your career, and then we'll get into your... We'll go take you right back to your youth.
Yep.
And then take you right through to where you are now, mate. All right.
Sure.
So, right, he's a 4-time Premiership winner, 97, 98, 2000 and 2006, which doesn't surprise me. This bloke's a winner. Over 200 games for the Broncos, mate.
Yep.
50 games for the lead Rhinos, which we'll get to later, which surprises me a bit. 18 games for Queensland, right? 6 matches for Australia, and get this, 5 matches for New Zealand. I think one of the very few players who
Play for both.
for Queensland, for Australia,
Yep.
and for New Zealand. You're one of the most feared defenders in the game, mate. Was defence always something that you grew up with? Or?
That was my game. I just wanted to tackle people and get them on the ground and try and hurt them as much as I could.
Well, you did that plenty of times.
And, it was, when I first started playing football, my coach was Peter Russell. He's the one that taught me how to tackle.
Right.
And
he taught you well.
He did. Well, I was 5 playing under 9s. So
right.
I had to learn how to tackle pretty quick.
All big kids. You're playing bigger kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Where was that, in Christchurch, Tunza?
No. That was...
So you were born in Christchurch?
South Woodridge, down in Logan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So born in New Zealand and then came over with your mum and dad?
Yep. So I played my first rugby union game over in New Zealand.
Yep.
When I was 5.
Yep.
And then came over to Australia, and they didn't have an under 6s, 7s or 8s, so we played under 9s, and
that was it.
that was it.
No choice, eh? Wow. Tell us a little about your family, mate. You got brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got, I've got 1 brother and 3 sisters.
Right.
So, yeah, they're all over here now.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, so they didn't all come over at the time?
No, they didn't all come over at the time, and 2 of my sisters went back to New Zealand, and now they've come back over. So.
Right. Did you play backyard footy and all that stuff with your mates or anyone? Or
Absolutely, yeah. We lived down in Kingston, down in Logan area. It was a pretty rough area, so you had to learn how to fight pretty quick down there to survive. So,
so all the mates all would come over and you'd
come
play footy in
over.
the
We had a
backyard?
big backyard, and my dad was a plasterer, and so he built a couple of goalposts.
Did he?
Yeah, in the backyard.
In the backyard?
I just love playing it.
Hey, Tons, I'm always fascinated because, like, Kevie played a bit of union when he was an 18-year-old, but when you grow up from New Zealand traditionally, and everybody, it's different now, but back when you started, the All Blacks were everything, right? So you started with union. When you got to Kingston, why didn't you follow that union route, or was there only league there? And was that something at the time when you were thinking, were you watching union supporting the All Blacks because you're a Kiwi?
Nah, not at all. Not
Really?
at all. No, I was rugby league the whole way.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was rugby league 100%. My uncle was rugby league.
Yep.
He played. He played for New Zealand in the school league.
Yep.
But never for rugby league.
Yep.
But yeah.
That was it.
That
Never
was
a
it.
union.
Never union.
Yeah.
My whole family's been rugby league the whole way.
I love it.
He's a Waterford demon, this fella, Dobbo, back in the day. And then you went to Beenleigh State High School. How'd you go at school? Did you like school?
I was one of the worst students ever.
Well, yeah.
I didn't care about bloody school. I had
So you're a disruptor at class? And
No, I wouldn't disrupt. My teacher would just
leave you alone.
see how I was at the start of the shift, and then if I was getting a bit restless, she'll send me out, clean a car, and do stuff like that.
Manual labour instead of learning. Because you caused a bit of havoc in the classroom?
No. I was, all I cared about was lunch.
Yeah.
That's all I cared about.
what, for 13 years?
That's all I cared about. The sports day, lunchtime. You get to play footy at lunchtime. So
That was
Did
it.
you play footy, obviously rep footy and that at school? Were you one of those sort of players?
Yeah, I was. And, that's how my career started. Cyril Connell picked me up. What was I?
So you played Met. Well, you met
I was South Coast.
South Coast.
Yeah, I was South Coast. So played, made the under-12s Queensland side.
Who else in that team with you, mate? Do you remember?
Yeah, John Gabriel. He played down at the Gold Coast.
Right.
Oh, geez, what was his name? Oh, Phil Lee was there.
Yeah.
Phil Lee.
Phil Lee.
Wow.
Yeah, he was there. He was a year younger than me. So,
Right. Gee, that's unreal.
yeah.
And so, Duns, under 12, so then you're on the identification process.
Yep.
So how does that work from under 12s? Like, I know, like, so Cyril Connell, so did you make rep teams the whole way?
I made every rep team you could make.
Well,
right?
he should have. He wasn't at school. He was out practicing.
So yeah, I made every rep side, and so it wasn't until I didn't realise that Cyril Connell was even looking at me until I was 15, 16.
Yeah.
And then we made the under 17s
Queensland team.
side, and then made the Australian side.
Australian schoolboys.
Australian schoolboys.
So what position were you in all that stuff?
Front row.
Front row.
My whole junior career, I was a front row.
Wow.
Front row forward.
That explains why you're so brutal with your defence and so aggressive, you know.
Oh, no, it was just, I'm the same size as what I was when I was 15.
Right.
I never grew.
From the age of about 15.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to grow, and I'm 57.
And so-
you're okay. You're
I'm
good,
right.
Dobbo.
And so, yeah, I was
got enough
a
height
front row forward, and then, I had, fortunately I was pretty quick.
Yeah.
You're very fast, mate.
And,
Have a look at some of your vision of some of your tries. That grand final try in 98, you left
Oh,
it for
yeah.
dead.
No, I only had to run 20 metres. It,
Yeah, but
it was off a ball from Elf. So.
yeah, that might have been the line break I was thinking. Was it?
Oh, the line break, yeah.
made plenty then,
came
too.
off Elf's shoulder. That's right.
Now, you had plenty of talent as a kid as well. You played baseball. Did you have the US agents looking at you?
We did. Yeah, we did. Made the Queensland baseball team.
Side.
And, we went to Melbourne. We lost the final, unfortunately.
Right.
Couldn't bat my way out of a
Right, so you
wet paper
obviously
bag.
could hit the ball a long
Oh,
way.
absolutely. Yeah. That
out of the
was
park,
it. Yeah.
basically. You can imagine.
Oh, I can only imagine,
Yeah.
mate.
And so, I played baseball. And then it was Danny Coburn. He was my best mate, well, one of my best mates growing up.
Right.
And he was a massive baseball. He made the Bandits and everything
Oh,
like
right.
He's
that.
a legend, mate. He's a legend in Australian baseball. Like,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, and so, he's the one that got me interested in it. And, played it for quite a few years. And
Right.
I even retired from the Broncos and played after footy.
Right. For which is your baseball club?
Oh, that was up at Brisbane Downs there. What are they called? I can't think of their name.
That's all right.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Hey, Tunza, so you're making all the rep teams. Cyril Connell sees you. Look, I'm always fascinated how you end up at the Broncos, because 96 you make your debut, but you're obviously at the Broncos before then. So how did that work? First contract,
93 was I was on a scholarship.
Yep.
And so I finished off school in 93. I don't know how, but I made I got to year 12.
Yeah, probably because to play the Australian schoolboys.
Yeah,
mate.
that's right.
why.
That's
Yeah.
right. And so we after that, obviously I was out of work for about a week, 2 weeks, and then Wayne called me and my family in after Cyril's recommendation, and Cyril always had a finding awesome talent. He found Webby, myself, Pedro, all these types of kids. And Wayne would always ask the question, is he a footy player or is he a footy player? And so Cyril was one of these, he was a teacher and everything like that.
Genius.
Yeah. And, he needs a bit of help, he needs this, he needs that. Or, no, he's a footy player. He knows the game. And so, I got offered a contract at the 94.
Yeah.
Got offered my first contract.
Do you remember how much it was for, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah, absolutely. It was 25,000.
Right.
Yeah. A lot
Yeah.
of money at 18, like, you know,
Yeah.
20 or 25,000. That's bloody great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Oh, I thought I was Wally Lewis. I thought, holy shit, I'm rich.
I love it.
So have you had a real? I'm not going to say a real job. Have you ever worked in? Or
Yeah,
you just went straight out of school.
No, so I was playing reserve grade, so I went straight out of school. One of my dad's friends was a fencer and a concreter, and yeah, Kent
took
Brown,
you
his name was. He put me on for a couple of weeks, and then I went, nah, bugger this, and got the contract in February, just in pre-season there, and so yeah, I started playing reserve grade, and then in reserve grade, they don't know if you're going to make it, you know, with Wayne Bennett, you're either a player or you're a player. Yeah. And so yeah, I used to work at the Leagues Club. I was always good with numbers.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
I remember that now. Yeah.
I was a pokey attendant there, and doorman and barman.
Bouncer.
Yeah.
Hey, bouncer. Bouncer, mate. You would have to be. We'll get to that. Hey, Tons, and I don't know this at all, but I reckon you would have bought yourself a car. You would have absolutely, with that money early on, gone and thought, right, because you would have been fast, like something. It would have been.
I had a trainer.
There you go.
There was a trainer.
How do we know?
No, but
Yeah.
I had the trainer before.
Yeah.
Before I joined the Broncos, and I bought it off again, one of my parents' friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was an awesome.
Was it
car.
hotted up?
No. I had to.
You had to
hot it
put
up.
Oh,
that.
yeah,
You got it up.
That was the 25,000. but back then you could go to the accountants and ask for a little bit more. I'm a bit short this week. How about a couple of grand? Oh, okay. Here you go.
And that was how it worked.
Yeah.
So, mate, that debut, obviously 96, and it was a really tumultuous sort of time because Super League, when you just started at the Bronx,
Yep.
and Super League literally, you know, was alive and well. So why that was going on, the Super League fiasco happened when you were probably playing reserve grade.
Yeah, that's right.
So-
Yeah, thing with me is I lost a lot of footy at the start of my career. I had surgeries.
Injuries. That's right.
I've had 13 operations. You know, 4 on my shoulders, 4 on my elbows, a knee, ankle, thumb, a groin.
Yeah.
You know, an ankle. You know, it's all happened. But yeah, and so in 96, my first game was against the Cowboys, and
Yeah, I played that game.
yep. I think he played just about every one of my games, but yeah.
Oh, it's a pleasure to play with this bloke. He was the protector.
and so yeah, we were there. That was my first game, and I think, and then Wayne set me out for a few weeks, and it got to Origin time, and all the big guns were away. You know, all the top notches were away, and Wayne called me over, and I thought, I'm going to play A grade this week. You know, how good's this? And he goes, I'm not going to play A grade. I lost my shit.
Is that right?
I lost my shit. Oh, no.
Yeah.
F this, F
Yeah.
that, you know. And I got all emotional, and I thought, nah, I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I
And
fought, and you know, because I was always overweight, you know. Hence how I got the nickname Tunzer. But yeah.
We answered that question.
and so yeah, I was always overweight, and yeah, and Wayne said, drop the weight, I'll play you.
I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were heartbroken, weren't you?
I
You
was
were angry.
gutted.
You were, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like to poke this bear.
No. So what did you do? Like in that moment, do you reckon that was the turning point for you? Because
Absolutely.
Wayne saying, no, you're not going to play when the young Broncos played when
Yep.
all the big guns are away. I mean, there was 11 or 12 of them
Yeah.
gone. So like you would have
Surely I'll
expected
get a
you were
start.
going to
Yeah,
get a start.
that's right. And I was furious. I thought, nah, bugger this.
Did you give Wayne a spray at that stage?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I abided all the rules. I did everything right, and I thought, right, here's my opportunity. And I went, bugger you, mate. You need to do this, this, and this.
Pretty brave from Wayne. Like,
Bloody oath.
calling it out.
Yeah.
You know.
But he must have seen something in that moment.
He did. And after that, I think my next game was West Tigers. He played me out in the wing. And we were playing terrible. I had an awesome game. I thought I had an awesome game. I set him up for a try. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. I think I just threw the ball over my back and hoped he was there.
I was there, tons. Always there for you, mate.
But yeah, no, that was the. And then after that, I was regularly in first grade, but playing out of position, playing out wide.
Yeah, so you played centre.
Yep.
Come in as a centre, but where did you see it? Where was your best footy played? You reckon? Lock. Yeah.
Yep.
13.
But I remember. I don't know if you remember, but we're all sitting down in the. We've just been told that we're signing Super League.
Yeah.
And so we're all in the meeting room, and you got to pick your numbers. So you get your own personal number. And I thought, well, I'm coming in as a forward. Wayne had different ideas. He put me in as a back, only because I don't know why he thought I could play back. I've never played it before ever in my life.
You're a prop.
You're a prop your whole life. All of a sudden, Wayne thinks so.
And so, and you had to pick your number. And if you have if two players pick the same number, went on vote. Obviously, Peter Ryan went 13, and I thought, bugger this, I want 13. I'll go 13 as well. And so it was a quick vote. Peter Ryan won. But yeah, no, it was.
So what number did you end up with, Tunza?
17.
17. That's right.
17.
That was your Super League number. Did you get a bigger clip? And I understand. Like we talked to Lottie. We've talked to a lot of blokes about Super League and how it was all going. But did you get more money on that 25, even though you hadn't played a lot of first grade? Was your pay packet lifted with Super League?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a game changer for you.
Not really. Not as much as regular first graders.
Like an hour for a cab.
Yeah,
with those
that's
guys.
right. Yeah, like we were, went from 25 to 120.
Still a lot of dough, but
a lot of dough.
You could do a bit with the Tirana with the 120, mate.
No, I think I sold that Trana by then. And
the old upgrade. See?
I got the.
You would have had a Holden. You would have had a Commodore or something. You would absolutely
I had a not a club sport, a Senator. I had a Senator, brand new Senator.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. So you start playing. So how does it work? Can you remember him, Kev, as
I remember him. I remember. Yeah, he was a big unit, big Tunza.
Yeah.
But there was just something about him that I liked. I don't know what it was. His character. More the way he played. The way he played was always at 1,000 miles an hour and always very physical, which I admired because that was something that, like, he was intimidating to the opposition.
Yeah.
Whereas I never, Alfie and myself and others and at the time didn't have that skill of intimidation, And that's what we liked about Big Tunza. We loved playing with him. And when he came in, he just hit the ground running. He was only a kid. But he showed great maturity with everything. And, mate, I wasn't aware of the talk that you had with Wayne.
Yeah.
But something clicked in you, and then you just became this next-level player. You won the Rookie of the Year in 96 at the Broncos, which is a great award to win. Then Super League next year.
Yep.
Had a great season there. We won the grand final
there
against the Sharks. I think that was a record crowd at the time for a rugby league game out at ANZ Stadium. So everything... and the World Club Challenge, we went overseas and all that sort of stuff.
We lost that one. We lost that. Don't talk about that one.
Oh, no, that was a bit later. I'm talking about, remember 97 we went to New Zealand and played in the Super League?
In the Super League.
We won that one.
We won that one.
Touched them up.
Yeah.
So that was a big year for you as well, wasn't it?
That was massive. It was Lockie and I. We got picked at the same time and flew over New Zealand. I think that was the day where you split Elf. And he fainted on the street.
That was
Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, do tell. Do tell. We haven't heard the story.
No, well, he...
it was hilarious. Jeez, it was fun.
Tell the story,
Tunza.
So the guys are on the drink,
Yeah.
And Lockie and I, we're young, we're keen, we're, fit. Oh, we're not sort of fit, but...
You were fit, mate.
Yeah, and, we didn't drink that much. Well, at all, really. These guys are blind, not and drunk, and Kevie's pushed Alf into a sign, splitting.
Just play fine.
Yeah,
just play fine. They've been doing it the whole time.
All lives.
Yeah. Up and down the street, looking for a pub to go to, and then if Alf saw my blood, he was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't care. But if he saw his own, he's out cold. So
He fainted.
He fainted. He fainted on the side of the street.
Yeah, just went over, bang.
So were you guys worried at this stage?
Yeah, well, it's our
Absolutely.
captain. Well, he's out. He's out.
Hey, we're playing a game in 2 days. This is 2 days out from a game. And
So there. Then Wayne said, everyone home. Everyone get home. You know, like, oh, no, get up. We're trying to wake him up. Flash
trying to get
water
him
on
to the next pub. We're just around the corner. We're 50 metres away from the next pub. And so everyone's trying to wake Alf up, and he got taken back to the room. Thankfully, it was only a couple of 100 metres down the road. So a few of the boys carried him home, and Kevie and the team went out.
Tons up. 97, you win the comp. I get that. But I think 98, and I don't know where premierships sit with you, and you know, you've won a lot of them, but that was the unified competition. So there was so many question marks about, because Newcastle had won and had beaten Manly in 97 in the ARL, and you guys had beaten Cronulla in the Super League, and then everybody unifies in 98.
Yeah.
I look at that side now, and I think about like rugby league teams, like Tallis, Thorne,
Webke.
Carroll, Webke,
Seven Receiver.
Petro. I mean, how intimidating! You're still young at this stage.
That
Like,
forward pack.
yeah, that forward pack. Like you just, can you talk
Well, I
about
was
like
out-
the alphas in that forward pack? Like you're an alpha, but there is bigger alphas than you.
There's
in that.
bigger.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, you rattle them off. Gordy is just a machine.
Yeah.
He's a freak.
Yeah.
You know, Thorny, the tallest and biggest guy you've ever met in your life.
Yeah.
Never got an injury. Played every single game he could. You know,
Big Thorny.
big Thorny. He was
Peter Ryan was in that
Peter
team.
Ryan.
Webke.
Webke,
Smith.
Petro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Smithy.
Darren Smith.
Yeah.
You like playing with Smithy?
I love playing with Smithy. He was
Yeah.
awesome. He was awesome. You know, him and Pearl taught me a lot. You know what I loved. You know, yes, I didn't know what I was doing out in the centres for the first half of my career, but you know, I remember we were playing that Tri Nations or Tri Series
In 97.
in '97, and we're playing New South Wales, and Pearl, we've got a scrum near our try line, and Pearl goes, "Come late, I'm going to pop a ball up, and this bloke's going to come in on me." And I went, "Oh, okay." And it wasn't until that point that, you know, Pearl just knew. Pearl knew what every bloke was going to do on him, and so yeah, he exactly the way he said it, it played out the way it came.
Yeah.
You know, it just left me to run 90 metres, and I had
As a front row, that's a pretty good job.
I had ET up my butt, so I was, you know, I fell over the line, thankfully.
You got there. Good
only
try.
just.
I remember it.
Yeah, the 98 grand. What are your memories of the 98 grand final, Tons? It's,
Oh, look.
Dobbo spoke about it.
Yeah, that was that.
Because you were
That was-
exceptional that day.
That was my best year I've ever played rugby league. You know, everything happened for me that year. You know, Origin, the grand final, you know, and to play lock. You know, I got to play lock that game. So, you know, got out of the centres.
Peter Ryan got suspended, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Peter Ryan got suspended in 98, so he
yeah,
missed the grand
grand
final.
final.
Yep.
So Tunza's taken his slot, and Tunza had... I've never seen a lock forward, and I've seen plenty of lock forwards. The game that he had that day, he just so powerful, and like no one could stop you. Like
You guys
Alfie-
were down at half time, weren't you?
Yeah.
If I remember, like,
yeah, let's not talk about the first half because that was my fault.
No, no.
That was my fault, right? I was going shithouse, and so was Tallis. We missing tackles and carrying on. Tunza was filthy with us. He wanted us.
Rhino was filthy with me. He said, "If you come off that field and we lose this game, I'm going to stab you."
Is that what he said?
With a pair of scissors. Yeah, no word of a lie.
That's right.
Yeah, and
And we'll get some vision up.
The second half,
Mate,
though,
unbelievable.
that was an unbelievable. That was an
was.
unbelievable half of football. Where everybody remembers, like the Bulldogs would have been at half time. I can remember that half time because it was at the
12-10.
SFS, 12-10 at the SFS. And I remember Matt Ryan was there, and they're all there, and they're in a huddle, and I'm like, at that stage, I'm a closet Bulldogs fan still. I'm thinking, here we go, mate. It was like under sevens playing under 12s in the second half. Like you guys smacked them. So
Yeah.
what happened in that half time? Like what did Wayne say? Can you remember? You guys did it.
I do remember what Wayne said. He just said, "Be calm," but you could see Wayne was angry. He was angry.
Yeah.
But he wasn't angry at us. He was angry at the team manager, Nuss.
Yeah.
Because we all went out in the piss 2 days before the game.
What?
Yeah.
I remember this.
I don't know anything about this.
Tell the story,
Don't
Tunza, because
No,
you guys
this-
went for a breakfast, didn't you? Like they used to do the
That's
presentation
right.
of the breakfast.
That's right.
Instead of like this.
Well, I was a bit older then, so maybe.
Okay,
let's
tell
hear the
the
story,
story.
Tom.
You were there, Kevie. You were there. It was you, Alf.
Okay, let's
Gord,
tell the
it was
story.
you, Alf, Gordy, Wendell. It was everyone.
Lockyer.
What happened? What happened, Tunza? So you go to the breakfast in the morning.
We go to the breakfast in the morning, and then we had training session at lunchtime.
Yeah.
And then so we
This
finished.
is a Thursday, right?
This is Thursday.
Yeah.
And so we've come back from training, and you can see the boys are starting to get a little bit antsy. You know, a few of the young guys went to the beach and had a swim and all that.
Yeah, because
sort
we
of stuff.
stayed down at Bondi, didn't
Bondi. We always stayed at Bondi. It was awesome.
we? Good place to stay
Yeah,
for a
bloody
grand
hell.
final.
Yeah.
The Swiss Grand. I
Come
think
on,
it was
Wayne,
called.
what were you thinking, mate? The Swiss Grand. 5-star.
And so we're staying down there, and went to, and then we're due to have dinner, and
Team dinner.
Team dinner. We always had a team dinner, you know, buffet style dinner brought to us, and it was a bit quiet. You know, it was a bit quiet. You know, all the old heads were just not there. I don't know. There was a shit ton of food. I know that because I ate most of it.
Yeah.
But and so we, you know, a few of the younger guys, thought, we'll go for a walk. You know, the old guys are doing something.
Yeah.
Walk around the corner and there's a pub, and he looks familiar. Who's this big dark guy? Oh, it's Wendell. Oh, geez. Oh, there's Gordy, Kevie,
Alfie.
Alfie.
So what, you went all out and had a beer.
Just to relax the
One
nerves
bit,
for the
but
grand final week.
One's never enough.
One's never enough.
Yeah.
So got to about 2 in the morning, and so the last day you have a team run.
Yeah.
And it's just
The captain's run,
captain's run, blow the cobwebs out and get everything aligned, get your mind focused for the game. And we had the worst session of our life.
Is that right?
We dropped every ball. It was disgusting. It was embarrassing. And Wayne thought, it was just one of them
Nerves.
guys.
Yeah, he's
And
seen it all.
Then he started hearing rumours. You know, got brought up in the media and everything like that. And I was like, oh, geez, we're all in trouble here. But no, it was just Kevie and Alfie that got in trouble.
Did Wayne ever get stuck in you about that? Like at the
No,
time?
he said, I appreciate you. He knew that we'd been out. He said, your experience got to get you through here. Do not lose that game on Sunday. Do not lose that game.
Yeah.
So Alf and I came up with a plan to tease the forwards about how good the Bulldogs pack were.
Is that right?
And we said it around training. Oh, geez, it'd be good to play behind that Bulldogs pack, Alf, wouldn't it? Time and space. Imagine playing behind them. And we'd say it so all these fellas would hear it.
Yeah,
And
seriously?
they wanted to kill us.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, they wanted to kill us.
No, we're just like, get back to the pub, Kevie.
So the second half you come out, it
Came
was
out.
unbelievable. And,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
blew them away.
Yeah, we blew them away. Everything just fell into place for us. You know, Phil Lee scored. You know, myself, Smithy scored. You know, it just
Second half just came together, didn't
rain
it?
tries. You know, they just couldn't touch us. It was like they put everything into the first half and then came back and
Away you went.
yeah.
How big was the celebration? I've never even talked to you about it. I mean, you're 92, 93, great, but 98 unit, like, can you remember that? That's our first big premiership.
Well, I do remember it. I only ever had 2 or 3 drinks before that. The first one was 97 grand final.
Yeah.
We're all at City Rowers and, jugs of bourbon going everywhere.
Oh, he's a bourbon man. Tons of.
And
He's a bourbon man.
And so that was one of my first drinks I ever had, and I don't remember that day. not that well anyway.
Yeah.
And then next one was we just won the State of Origin that year.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
And so that was my second drink, and the third drink was the grand
98
final.
premiership. Yeah.
And mate, it was the best time of my life. I felt as though I contributed to the team. In '97, it was Super League, and I came off the bench and everything like that. I didn't feel as part of the side.
Yeah.
Because you're a benchy, and yes, it was unlimited interchange.
But you still wanted to start.
Still wanted to start.
Yep.
You know, that's a rugby league's dream, is to start
a grand
final and finish a grand final.
I love that, and he did it.
Tell us about your Origin try, mate. 98.
Yeah.
We were gone.
We were gone. And then I don't know how you found the inspiration to kick that ball.
That was a terrible kick. It come off the side of my foot. And Benny, I can chase it like a hare, like a rabbit, and you end up getting it. And then a couple of plays later, this bloke shows up. And honestly, it was just poetry in motion, the way the whole play unfolded.
I was actually going to get in there and tip it to you.
Right.
But you cut in front of me.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, fuck, Kev, you got me. And then I'd just come around you and you just pop the ball up and it just opened up.
Oh,
it just opened up. To be a guy that I wasn't even meant to be inside. Everyone thought, it's a surprise selection and everything like that. I didn't care. I took my opportunity and, I ran with it.
Yeah, well, you declined to play for New Zealand in '96, didn't you? Knock that back.
Yep.
To play Origin.
Yep.
You wanted to play Origin.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've been asked to play for New Zealand every year, and all I wanted to do was play Origin. I didn't give too much concern about international footy. Origin was my pinnacle. Origin was my goal, and for me to play New Zealand, I couldn't play State of Origin, and so I gave up on that ambition. And then in '98, it was the second time that I hated Wayne. He told me, I'm not going to pick you for the Australian side. And he was the coach, and I thought, oh, why not? I had a really good year, and he goes, I'm going to go with Peter Ryan. I dropped my bundle and
gave him a spray.
No, I didn't give him too much of a spray. I was just, your decision, I'll just work harder. And then in 2000, they gave dispensation for all players to play for their home nation. So it kept the State of Origin on the cards for me.
Yeah.
And so I played for New Zealand in 2000 and it still led me eligible to play for my home, to play State of Origin. So it was perfect.
Well, it must have been a proud moment for you, though, playing for your native country.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the best time of my life. It was one of the greatest moments in football that, will live with me forever. The guys were awesome. The coach was awesome. And, just the experience of it, to play international footy, play it over in England. Excuse me. And, it was great. I don't regret a second of it.
No. What about, just going back a bit, for Queen, did you have any heroes growing up for Queen? Like, Origin was your pinnacle that you wanted to get to.
Yep.
Was there someone, Origin-wise, that you looked up to as a kid, or was it?
Yeah. But he played for New South Wales.
Who was it?
and you know what? He played centre. So
Who was he?
Jackson.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson. Yeah,
Yep.
he was your man.
He was my man. But for Queensland, it was Wally Lewis.
Yeah.
And, so.
Hey, can I ask you this?
Oh, Jesus.
How did you become the enforcer? Like, I talked about at the start, everybody thought you were the protector. Like, and you wore it like a badge of honour as you
Absolutely.
your career.
Yeah.
So how did that happen that, you were Lockie's protector? Everybody used to say Lockie was so good because he had Tonie Carroll keeping an eye on his back. And the same with all your outside backs. When did you take that badge of honour to go, you know what, I'm more than just a centre or a lock. I've got a role to protect the backs.
Well, it wasn't a role to protect the backs. It was a role to protect the defensive line. Each week we had a goal, not to let 13 points score
Against
you.
Yeah.
And so that was my focus. I failed if we let the other team score more than 13 points. And so that was my focus. The left-hand side I didn't have any control of, but I let them know if I was upset, about their defence, what they needed to fix. And, everyone says I was Lockie's protector. Obviously not, but I used to set that little bugger up, eh? It was awesome. You let the second row run past you, and normally I just go up and tackle him.
Yeah.
But I found, as they're trying to bump him off, they get the two hands and get the bump up. It exposed their ribs.
Yeah.
And so then I'd just time it perfectly. Come in and,
We've got to get some vision of that.
Lockie would get knocked over and
roll backwards, but you got the shot on the player.
I got the shot on the player.
I never knew that.
And then after that, they come looking the whole time. Is that
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
Like, once you do it once,
Yeah.
you're not going to get the
They're
bump
not going
up.
to do it again.
Yeah, they're not going to do it again.
Yeah.
So that
Exactly.
you made sure that was how it was going to happen.
Yeah.
What happened? Like
You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
I love that. So, Tunza, I mean, there's so many great stories about you, but you're retired. I remember one of my great memories is you've gone over played Super League, then Wayne's got you back.
Yep.
And mate, and he played you. I reckon you played at lock straight. I think.
Yeah, I did.
I could be wrong here. I don't know who that game was against. It might have been Newcastle.
It was Newcastle, our first game back.
The first game back.
Yep.
And mate, you look like you swallowed a sheep. Like you literally came
That
back
was
and you were
Tunza.
underdone. But you came back to help Wayne. He called on you. He said he needed you back there.
Well, I thought it was a bit different. Kevie was on the coaching staff there then, and I thought I came back the fittest I've ever come back from England. You remember that? Oh, well, you used to run the golf course and everything like that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was fit anyway, but clearly not. Thanks, Dobbo.
I just remember it was a big thing that got Tonie Carroll back. It was a massive thing because Brisbane needed something.
They needed a hard man,
I
mate.
shouldn't have left. I left for personal reasons. I felt as though I wasn't. I was playing out in the centres. Like I said at the start,
Centres in the 2000 grand final.
Yeah.
And Peter Ryan was still in the lock position, and Darren Smith went in there then, and then the young kids were coming up, and I thought, no, I'll go to England. I'll find my feet. Find what I love about the game. I played centre over there, but anyway, it wasn't too
That's
hard.
for Leeds, yeah?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't too hard over there.
Did you like it over there?
I loved it. Oh, I'd go back any day.
Is that right? Was that good?
It was that good. The travel then, it was £100. You go to Paris, you go to France, you can go. You know what I mean? You go anywhere in the world for £100, and over here it's going to cost you 10,000.
Yeah.
Well, you still went pretty good over there, tons of try scoring. You had 23 tries in 28 games for Leeds, so
Like Dobbo said, I swallowed a sheep. So I was pretty hard to tackle.
pretty hard to tackle. Now you played with Rob Burrow. Do you remember a young Rob
I do.
Burrow?
Oh, mate, he was amazing. It was devastating when he passed, and
Because he was just an 18-year-old kid, wasn't he, coming up through the
that's
system?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had heaps of games together, and he was a fantastic bloke. He's so keen to learn, and for the size of him, you thought Alf was small.
Yeah,
Oh my God, he was half the size of Alf.
yeah, exactly.
And so he was an amazing player.
Did you play with Carl Webb as well for Queensland?
Yeah.
You did, eh?
Yep.
What at
He
Broncos?
was my roommate.
In Origin?
In Origin. He was
Right,
my
right.
roommate.
Well, give us a story.
No,
Tunza.
I can't give that story, but I'll give a story. He's we retired from footy, and he became an operator in the mines. So he started driving dozers and everything.
Oh, up there in the same mine as you?
Yeah, well, the same crew. He was one of my crew members.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's two not to be messed with if you're on that shift.
Talking about that,
Tunza and Carl Webb.
a lot of people reckon you could fight like a bag of feral
Nah,
cats.
I was a terrible fighter.
Really?
Oh, in Logan, you always had a fight every week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you learn a few little tips there. Yeah.
Who was the best that you went with? It was everybody talks about Peter Ryan, but Gordy goes good.
Who wouldn't you fight? You would fight anyone. He'd fight anyone.
Yeah, I know, but like if you had to not, who would be the bloke you'd be wary of?
Oh.
Apart from me, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you're very intimidating.
While you're thinking of that, I'm going to tell you a story about Tunza. He used to come in and game day.
I was going to say.
Alf-
I was going to bring a pair of denim corduroy shorts for you,
Yeah.
but I forgot.
Well, part of his preparation to get ready, hello, Alf and him had a little deal. Alf would leave the room and leave the door unlocked for Tunza to get in and just bash me up for 5 minutes. Just throw me around the room, into walls, into whatever, just to get himself motivated, ready to go.
Well, it wasn't that. It was get rid of some frustration, get rid of some built-up energy and...
And I was happy.
What were you? Were you the?
He
you were
was-
the guinea
No, I'll
pig?
tell you what I was. I was a little bitch. That's what I was. I got bitched, and I knew it was coming. And then for that small sacrifice for this man here to go out and do what he used to do to the opposition. In fact, Willie Mason has said in the past that there's one person that he would never, or you try and avoid on a field. It's Tonie Carroll.
Was it that you were that feared? Like that's
He
what
was
it's
feared.
I don't know. I just played the game.
Yeah.
You were feared, mate, and I could
I
see it
loved
in
it.
their eyes too. You know, and I used to defend beside Gordy a lot as well, and make all of his tackles. Gordy, thanks for that. But the players, you could see it in their eyes when they see Tunza. Oh, they start heading that way or that way. They'd never run straight at him, and that was because your defensive mindset. When he hit him, he used to line them up.
Yeah.
A lot of
Unbelievable
injuries.
stuff. So, mate, you never want to finish the game. Like, I mean, was that the hardest part when you finished trying to figure out what you wanted to do? I mean, you'd had so much success.
I
Big brand.
wanted to finish. When I finished, I wanted to finish.
Yeah.
I had enough.
You'd had a gutful.
I have had a gut.
Because you had your fair share of injuries too over the time,
that's
hadn't
right.
you?
You know, early in my career, all my injuries, and towards the back end of my career, I got to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
And then, it just turned into, a business, and it wasn't the same. The game wasn't the same. So when I finished, I was ready to finish.
Why haven't the Broncos, I'm interested to know this, and we don't want to bring it up, but why haven't Brisbane won a comp since 06? In your opinion, what's happened there?
Look, I'm. To be honest, it's more individual now.
Yeah.
I remember standing, at the QE2 Stadium, and the team we'd all stand outside our dressing shed, and they had to walk past us, and we'd laugh at them. We'd just stand there and laugh, intimidate them walking past to their dressing sheds, and it was those sort of moments we knew we were together. We knew that.
Getting on the drink 3 days before a grand final. I know it's funny, but like you were united. You were a real club, weren't you?
Yeah, we were, and that's the thing. Like, the families. Every Saturday or every Thursday, the families will come together. It wasn't just the players; it was the kids, it was the wives, it was the partners, it was everyone. Everyone became one.
Yeah.
And that's what we had back in our day.
You think that's gone a bit, because I mean, you guys all. I mean, I say this. I mean, what happened with Kev was rotten, but like just as a club, I've seen it. At that level.
times are different now, Dobbo too.
Yeah.
Times are different for
Absolutely.
players. So
What have we got? Broncos got 4 players living down the Gold Coast.
Yeah. Never would happen. Never would happen when you were there, would it?
No way in the world.
no,
No way in the world.
no, but that's just
It's just the way it
game
goes.
is, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But you've had lots of controversy in your career too, Tunza. What's happened here with the TBA, with the Origin call? What was happening there? Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, I do.
Was that Wayne behind that mastermind?
No, it was. I got. Oh, they said
You got suspended.
I
didn't
got suspended, and
So they named him for the
They
Bronx.
named me for the
the
Broncos.
you? Yeah.
yeah,
And then he didn't
Yeah.
play because he got the suspension, which
That's
made
right.
him eligible. So he
For Origin.
actually was the one who screwed the eligibility. So they can't do that anymore. Like that is
That's
gone
right.
now. It's now counted as a game.
Right.
And because
That's
Wayne
right.
and Tunza.
yeah. Well, that was Wayne.
Manipulated.
Absolutely.
was
That
Wayne.
Wayne.
Manipulated the
It wasn't me.
system.
Hey, I was just a pawn.
So, so that was Origin in 2005. In 2006, you're back at the Bronx. You beat the Storm in the grand final. Tell us about that one, mate.
Oh, that was the last grand final. Yeah, it was amazing. It was one of the toughest games I've ever played in my life.
Really?
It was horrendous. Melbourne would just at us the whole first half, and there were times in the game where I thought you had Johnson poking his nose through the hole, and I thought, mate, if I let him go here, he would score and I stopped hurting.
Yeah.
You know, my legs were burning, my lungs were burning. I was in pain. And I thought if I let him go here, I can stop hurting. It won't be my fault. I'll blame it on something else and all that sort of stuff. But, you just couldn't let the boys down. And so I made the tackle. And then I think straight after that, we go the length of the field and we score a try. And I think Hodjo scored. And
Barrow made the break, I think. Barrow made the break and then Hodjo,
Yeah. And so, my pain stopped, and that was the mindset of every single player, just one more play, just one more play, just one more play. It was Wayne that brought up the 1% rule. And, for every 1% that you do on the field adds up to 100%.
Yeah.
And so that's the way Wayne motivated you. It was stuff like that.
Has he been you've had some great coaches. Has he been your best, you reckon?
To be honest, I haven't had that many really good coaches.
Haven't you?
No. I had Wayne and then
Wayne.
And then Wayne. And then Wayne.
Well, you had Ivan there for a bit.
Ivy
dragged you back.
Ivan.
You were retired, and
Yep.
he dragged you back to the Bronx. You helped him out.
Yeah, he got me back, and I was doing real estate down the Gold Coast.
You selling real estate on the Gold Coast?
I was doing real estate. Well, I wasn't selling anything. We're in an economical crisis. What a time to retire, Tunza.
How'd you end up, the legacy, the Tonie Carroll legacy is huge. And you know that everybody who's a Broncos fan loves Tonie Carroll. I mean, that comes with a little bit. You find it a bit difficult because everybody remembers you and they want to talk about it. But you've really moved on. You work in the mines. You created a lot in South East Queensland. You've had the Tonie Carroll Cup. There's been a lot of stuff happen. Did you find that difficult coming down from being the first grader to having to get back into mainstream?
Yeah, because when you're a player, you try and keep everything private. You keep your number private. You keep everything private.
Yep.
I come straight out of rugby league and I'm now a real estate agent. I've got to give my number out.
Yeah.
I can't keep my number private anymore.
Yeah.
And so that was the hardest part for me, is to hand that number out.
I reckon it would have been.
It was so hard because, the amount
been a huge celebrity.
amount of people that just rang you. Oh, is this Tonie Carroll? I've got a listing or something like that. And then it's like, just go, it's him, look.
Well, there was some more trouble in your comeback. We're not going to let you get out of this podcast without talking about this. Do you remember this incident?
I know. Go.
Right.
I've got to be politically correct.
You have to be, mate. So round 19,
Yeah.
Broncos, Rabbitohs. You're losing 34-12. You're weighing 103 kilos. Your first game back, Ivan's called you back, and you...
It wasn't the first game. It was about the third game.
Right, okay. I'll get on to Norell about that, but that's okay. Third game back. Right. Will you explain what happened in that game, Tunza?
Yeah, well, they made a break and, all I remember seeing is someone get knocked over and, I had to hurdle them to
try and stay alive to get the try.
Well, that's right, Old mate that knocked him over was 100 metres down 50 metres down the track.
Well, Jamie Simpson collided with the referee, right?
Jamie Simpson, yep. And, look, I knew I wasn't going to get Jamie Simpson, so I veered. I changed my... I veered or I swerved.
Changed
to try and get out of his way.
Might have been that dicky knee,
Right,
that knee.
Yeah.
Might have been that led me over there, and it was. Do you know when you make the most perfect tackle, you don't feel it?
I've never known that feeling.
It feels amazing.
Yeah.
You just don't feel it. You think, what's happened? And then it was that clean of a hit with my knee. I didn't even feel it.
No,
did not even feel it. And then he's on the ground and he's.
You hit him.
Mate,
You got him flushed, mate.
He was out.
Do you remember who the referee was?
Oh, Tony Del Harris?
That's him.
Yeah.
And
Poor old Tonie.
I felt sorry for him. And
Well, you must. I mean, you're not that type of player.
No,
I'll be honest.
absolutely
I know
not.
we're having
No,
a bit of a joke
we're
here, but mate,
joking,
that was.
yeah.
I was watching that on telly. I forget. I might even been overseas in France, but it was a sickening blow, Tunza. Sickening.
What I remember is I walk, after the end of the game, we lose the game, and I'm going to get a DNA test and all that sort of stuff, and here he is in the in the
Ambulance.
in the medical room,
Right.
and so I've walked past and just being an idiot as I am. Oh, that's what you get for cheating, mate. And so I go.
You did not say that to him.
I did. I did.
Tonie.
And then I get back and say, I go do my drug test. And then I come back thinking, I'm just joking, mate. How you going? I asked him how he was and all that sort of stuff. And then I come back and he was gone. I didn't get to tell him the rest of it.
Well, you got to tell him now. Do you know where he went? He went to hospital, mate.
Yeah, he did.
In an ambulance, he had severe headaches and vomiting.
Did you get
for
suspended for
days.
that?
No.
Nothing.
No.
No, it was.
No, it was
accident.
It was
Yeah.
accidental.
Yeah.
It really was. And, we're just joking about it now.
Yeah.
But I did walk past him. Oh, that's what you get for cheating, mate. And so
I bet he didn't do it again. But
don't think he
Stuart
refed
Raper
again.
was the referee's boss at the time, and then they started training how to avoid collisions like that
Unreal.
for players. So
well, he got off balanced. I remember seeing him fall over.
he got tripped.
Yeah, that's right. He got his feet got taken out from him, and it was just one of those unfortunate moments.
Yeah.
Tons up.
It was, mate.
Yeah,
It was, mate.
I love it.
All right, couple of rapid fire questions to finish here. You played in 4 grand finals.
Yep.
Have you got a favourite?
Oh wait, 98.
98.
Yeah,
Without
absolutely, without a doubt.
Are you still filthy with Tallis because he's got your medal around his neck?
Nah, it was,
And I'm talking about the Clive Churchill
yeah, I know
medal.
which one.
Actually, I want the voters out there. Send your votes in. Who should have won the Clive Churchill medal in 98? Was it Gordon Tallis or Tonie Carroll? Gordon got it.
I know.
But there were plenty of people, hello, Kevie, at that ground playing in that team that thought it possibly should have gone to someone else.
Did you think you should have got it?
No, definitely not. I didn't care. I don't care about that sort of stuff. As long as we got the result in the end, I didn't care.
Right.
Who was it? Do you remember? Is there any shot that you put on that you remember that you just talked about that absolute sweet shot? Is there somebody who you remember and you go, yeah, that's the best shot I've ever put on?
Oh, there was one or two that I remember. The Warriors. We were playing the Warriors, and
In New Zealand or
in
Suncorp?
Suncorp, and it was just me chasing. I don't know how that happened, but it was just me chasing, and I faked him from going out to the left, his right hand side, and he stepped back in on me. I thought I just left it open a little bit, and it came back, and I heard at least 3 ribs break. And it was a good moment. It was a good moment. Yeah, I remember that. That was a good one.
Yeah, I mentioned Willie before. He didn't like playing up against you because he knew you were the right height to get into his ribs.
Well, that's right.
He knew when he was playing
yeah.
against you that his ribs were going to get tickled every time you were in the vicinity.
And so, that's what blows me away about today's game. You look at today's game, they're all getting head knocks. And I got knocked out a few times, and that was just because, I'm looking down, not looking up. And it was my own fault. But, these head knocks these days are just getting out of control.
You reckon they don't?
Do you think that their level's too high with their
Absolutely.
attack?
Absolutely. You go for their ribs, you break a rib, it's great. It sounds great. It feels great. It's just good.
Did you ever get hit hard? Like you heard a lot of people. Did you ever get hurt from a tackle?
Yeah, I did. Bloody Gordon Tallis in 2000. We were playing
World Cup.
World Cup final,
And you were playing for New Zealand. He was
playing for
playing for Australia.
and we had an agreement with every player that I liked. We had an agreement. You don't run at me, I don't run at you.
That's a good agreement.
All right.
This is all new to me too, by the way.
And so, he thought he would he'd put a shot on me.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's fine, mate.
That's how it's going to go.
That's how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And then I got him back probably 5 minutes later, and he goes, "Righty, we'll stick to the original agreement." And so that was good. And then the same game, Lockie tried to get on the outside of me. I just got him. He goes, "I almost got you, Tunza." But I got him. So that was good.
And so Tallis did get you.
Tallis got me.
Yeah.
He got me a good one. Because I thought, okay, he's just going to come and
Tackle you normally.
Second man.
Right.
You know. But no, he
came in with everything.
He came in with everything. And he got me. I never forgave him for it.
What about some of the players you played against? Like you mentioned, Gordy, you'd normally be playing with him.
Yep.
Did you have some favourites that you like to sort of take on? Or, guys in your position from the opposition that you like to play against and made sure you played really hard?
Love playing against Willie Mason.
Willie Mason. Yeah, well, that's why Willie says that.
He was an enormous bloke, a big body, and he was just the perfect, the tall guys are just perfect height for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to bend anything. I just
straight into
them.
Wow.
It was short guys. I forget the winger's name. Canterbury winger.
Matty
Utai.
He was the hardest bloke I've ever had to tackle.
Right.
I think I have missed every single tackle against Matty Utai.
Trying to hit him hard and you just...
No, just trying to tackle the just trying to tackle the bloke.
Well, don't worry about missing tackles. That's not so bad. You didn't miss too many in your career, mate.
No.
Good Lord.
Yeah. No, that was the best time of my life,
And so, post-career now, you're working in the mines?
Yeah.
Tell us about that, mate.
Yep. So I'm working up at Blackwater at Curragh Mine, working for an American company, Coronado.
Yep.
Great company, great business. Love the job. Managing 40, 50 people.
Righto.
No, it's going really well.
That's good. And your families, all the boys are...
Boys are good. Bailey's injured again, which is great.
Is he? Well, you got it. You had your... Don't be knocking Bailey, mate. You had your fair share
Yeah,
injuries.
No, he's doing really well. So he just got a tweak in the knee on the weekend. And
Right. So he's still... both the boys still playing or what?
No. Josh never played.
Right.
Josh works at the airport.
Right.
He ships the miners off to work.
Right.
Yeah. Away he goes.
Okay. And what about Kat? How's she your wife? How's she going?
Yeah,
She good?
she's fantastic, mate.
Yeah.
She's great. Yep.
They're a great family, the
Big
Carrolls.
family.
They're a great
Awesome.
family. Great
I
great
see you guys
family.
at the footy. You and Kat go to the football, and you love it. Like, it's very much you love it. You're a fan now. You love going, and you always sit under the radar. You're always there, and when you're there, you're just very much under the radar and just a fan now.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a bloke that used to play football.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Now I'm a miner. You know, I love my job. I love going to work each week. So, yeah.
I love it.
It's great.
Well,
Tonie Carroll, you're a bloody legend, mate. Thank you for being with us.
The Hitman. That's what
And you know what?
Tunzo, he's got all nicknames.
Yeah, I just love it, mate. Thank you so much for being with us on the Inside Ball.
Thank you.
Good on you,
Good on you,
guys.
guys.
Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
mate.